Chen Tianyu felt that Chen Xiang's true qi was unusually strong, but he also had quite a unique breath, the likes of which he had never seen before. He gave this matter some serious consideration, then said, "Let my son represent me in this battle. If he were to lose, then the patriarch's position will belongs to your brother, moreover he will also return that 1,000-year blood spirit grass back to you." Chen Tianyu's proposal meant that he believed Chen Xiang had a chance of winning, which made Chen Xiang feel no small pressure in his heart. He turned around, looked at Chen Tianyu and saw Chen Tianyu showing a trace of warmth in his smile while nodding his heart. "Well then, allow me to come and settle this matter with my own two hands." Chen Zhenhua came from the crowd to the center of the field while his face was full of contempt and his pair of eyes, which were looking at Chen Xiang, were filled with pride. At such a young age, he had already entered the 5th level of mortal martial realm. Chen Zhenhua ignored Chen Zhang's young alchemist achievement while showing an arrogant approach. Seeing this, many elders of the Chen family inwardly shook their heads, because they all know one alchemist has the potential to raise many powerful martial artists. The seriously injured Chen Haohai with a sneer said, "Young men sure are filled with youthful energy. If in the process of fighting, what will happen if someone were to die, accidentally killing Chen family's talented alchemist? I will be scolded to death by those old fellows." Chen Tianyu did not speak, he was seriously contemplating this. Chen Haohai slightly smiling, "If you are determined to make your alchemist's son go to battle, and if by chance some mishap happened in the middle of fight, everybody can only wonder that he had half-baked skills. Rest assured, if I was injured or killed, it will be my own responsibility." Chen Xiang said. He knows if his father could not become the patriarch, even though his son is an alchemist, he still will be vigorously suppressed by Chen Haohai, because in the eyes of Chen Haohai he is a big threat. Everybody clearly heard, this is what he said, "Since it is this way, then let him first contest with my son, and if he wins against my son, it will be clear that he has the qualification to battle with my younger brother." Chen Haohai's face was filled with a happy expression, because he concluded Chen Xiang was not that strong. Even if he was able to win against his own son, it was impossible to win against his brother. After all, his brother was in the 7th level of the mortal martial realm. Not only would he become the Chen family patriarch, but also be able to recapture the 1,000-year blood spirit grass. Chen Zhenhua, after getting his father's permission, with face full of contempt said, "If you get seriously injured due to my carelessness, you cannot blame me. Who told you to bite more than you can chew?" Chen Xiang, with an expressionless face, turned towards Chen Haohai and asked, "If I win I can fight instead of my father, right?" "Ha ha ha." Chen Haohai laughed, "Yes, but you have to win first." The people who were supporting Chen Haohai began to laugh. Chen Zhenhua, while performing the kung fu courtesy of covering one's fist, with a sneer said, "I will not be lenient." "Ed. Kung fu courtesy of covering one's fist. Start," shouted Chen Tianyu with an imposing look. As soon as the word left Chen Tianyu's mouth, Chen Zhenhua quickly jumped and rushed towards Chen Xiang. His movements were gentle and elegant and his hands were held high facing the sky. But just a moment later, a fierce wind surged forth and a golden aura began circulating around his hands and it instantly formed into a giant golden axe. The Chen family's high-grade spirit-level martial skill, the Heavenly Sun Axe Strike. It can transform one's true qi into a weapon with a strong offensive power. A person exclaimed, and a high-grade spirit-level martial skill was difficult to learn, but its power was huge. Chen Xiang stood there motionlessly, just staring at the incoming axe. When everyone was thinking that he was scared due to fierce metal true qi, and seeing that true qi transform into a golden axe that was about to smash his head, fierce qi surged out from within Chen Xiang, and he opened his mouth and emitted a thunderous roar. Similar to that of a dragon, it made everyone's eardrum tingle. The most shocking thing was that what came out of Chen Zhang's mouth was a large amount of azure-colored true qi, flying towards Chen Zhenhua and inundating him. The true qi transformed into an azure dragon, the kind of diffusing vicissitudes of an ancient dragon and shocking everyone around. It could be seen that this true qi was very strong and couldn't be practiced out from an ordinary sutra. When Chen Xiang emitted the dragon roar, everyone present near the field became transfixed. They watched Chen Xiang with a face full of surprise, and if they had not witnessed Chen Xiang emitting this tyrannical true qi, they wouldn't have believed it. Chen Tianyu saw how amazing his son is, and it made him extremely proud, excited and slightly agitated. The complexion of Chen Haohai and his followers became extremely ugly, as they were well aware of how frightening that true qi was. Chen Zhang's azure dragon roar instantly shattered Chen Zhenhua's Heavenly Sun Axe Strike, like as if it were glass. The true qi storm that surged from within his mouth contained a very frightening and destructive power. Chen Zhenhua's entire body was filled with bloodstains. This azure dragon roar was also from the Azure Dragon Divine Exercise. The dragon roar produced by Chen Xiang was similar to an original dragon's roar. Its might would devastate both a person's heart and soul. Also from within his mouth a lightning and windstorm burst forth, and the power of the wind was similar to a knife attacking the enemy. It was incomparably overbearing. No one even dared to blink, for the fear of missing something, and Chen Xiang did not disappoint them. Just moments after Chen Xiang's roar, his body flew like that of a dragon, appearing instantly in front of the still dazed and panic-stricken Chen Zhenhua. Chen Xiang's fingers stretched and an azure aura flashed from his arm, taking the shape of a dragon's claw, strong and vigorous, and surged with the extremely tyrannical azure dragon true qi. Just like how an eagle catches a rabbit as quick as lightning, he caught Chen Zhenhua's head and grasped it instantaneously. The claw opened abruptly, like a dragon's claw. The claws were as sharp as knives and the scales were clearly visible. With the sudden appearance of an azure dragon claw covering the head of Chen Zhenhua, a sharp and slaughtering qi burst forth, and everyone's heart shook. They all saw that after Chen Zhenhua's head was covered with the dragon claw, he emitted a pitiful loud scream, and Chen Zhenhua retreated a few steps while vomiting blood. This was the Azure Dragon Claw, the super strong offensive martial technique of the Azure Dragon Divine Exercise. Everyone saw Chen Zhenhua's bloodied body and his face was full of horror. They were having a very hard time believing what just happened. Chen Xiang defeated Chen Zhenhua in a flash and in such a beautiful way. Bang! Chen Zhenhua fell down, and everyone was shocked. They felt cold in their spine and only now confirmed what had happened. Abnormally powerful Azure True Qi, a strange and frightening martial technique, emitting a tyrannical power, and all of this was all done by Chen Xiang, who did not even have a spiritual vein. Chen Haohai watched his son getting severely wounded and he could not help but vomit blood. He saw Chen Zhenhua was still breathing and converged his qi with his son. Although Chen Zhenhua was covered with multiple scars, he was not seriously injured, which showed that Chen Xiang was holding back. Chen Haohai looked at Chen Tianyu with a face full of gratitude while Chen Tianyu just smiled at him. This can only be blamed at his half-assed skills. It's no wonder he got wounded so easily, Chen Xiang said dismissively. Chen Zhang's expression in his eyes were clear, neither cold nor dull. I can now fight on behalf of my father. Not only was Chen Xiang such a young alchemist, but he had also entered the 5th level of the mortal martial realm. Even with such accomplishments, he had neither shown any arrogance or pride. This subtlety had made the Chen family branch commanders and elders secretly appreciate his behavior. Chen Xiang looked at the middle-aged man standing beside Chen Haohai. He was Chen Haohai's little brother Chen Yihan, a 7th-level mortal martial realm practitioner. He was a handsome man with a beard. He gradually walked towards Chen Xiang and had not spoken since the beginning. Chen Xiang was to do battle with him, but he only had the strength of a 5th-level mortal martial realm practitioner. No one dared to leave, as such a thing had actually happened in the Chen family patriarch election, and it was something nobody had expected. Chen Yihan saw his nephew being defeated, but he did not even show a trace of anger, and with a mystical smile he said, "No matter how talented you are still going to lose against a 7th-level mortal martial realm expert." Chen Yihan had to admit, if Chen Xiang were to be given a few years' worth of time, then he would not even stand a chance against him. But that was the future, and presently the chance of him winning was a 100%. Chen Yihan practiced with ice true qi, and in the Chen family, this type of true qi practitioner was special. Out of the Chen family's junior generation, none dared to challenge a senior who was at the 7th level of the mortal martial realm. If they heard someone attempting this before, they would think of it as madness. No one would believe it, but now that all of the Chen family members saw how fierce Chen Zhang's techniques were, their hearts were filled with uncertainty. But most of them still believed that Chen Xiang would lose. After all, not only was there a large gap in age, but also in strength. Not to mention Chen Yihan had practiced many high-grade martial techniques. Even his true qi was much more vigorous, and not a single young practitioner had the capability to compete with Chen Yihan. A battle of great disparity, where the gap in power was too large, was about to begin. Everyone was watching quietly as this was the deciding match to determine the next patriarch of the family. Chen Xiang had practiced the Azure Dragon Divine Exercise for only 2 months, and he had the Yin and Yang Divine Vein. He had spent a large amount of time absorbing the spirit qi between heaven and earth, enhancing the true qi within himself. After all, he was simultaneously cultivating 5 true qi whirlpools that had 5 different kinds of attributes, so his true qi was much more vigorous. Also, between the 5th level true qi realm and the 7th level true aura realm, there was the 6th level divine sense realm. Divine sense was, although the cultivation of your spirit, it could congeal a kind of controlling true qi type spiritual power. This provides major assistance in controlling true qi, and with time, it could also strengthen one's true qi. After having cultivated the divine sense, one can then start cultivating the true qi aura force. Chen Yihan was at the 7th level true aura realm, and he could use his fierce qi aura. It was not something that true qi could match up to, so he had absolute confidence that he would be able to defeat Chen Xiang. Chen Zhang's frightening martial skill could deter everyone, but those who had knowledge regarding true qi could see that Chen Zhang's true qi was very immature, and it could not be compared to qi aura. However, it was still very powerful when compared to others in the same level as him. Chen Yihan gradually moved towards Chen Xiang, and with every step he takes, the temperature dropped rapidly. Freezing cold air was blowing all around, and most people could see that Chen Yihan was on the verge of a breakthrough. The icy true qi of his was extremely strong. Chen Xiang was not too far away from Chen Yihan, and he felt that this kind of freezing cold was most profound. At this time Chen Yihan congealed out true qi aura, which can only be achieved at 7th level of the mortal martial realm. Chen Xiang used the vermilion bird true qi within his body, which was a fire-attributed true qi. After being affected by the cold qi, Chen Xiang became stimulated. The vermilion bird true qi started rushing from within his dantian into his numerous bones and 4 limbs. After feeling the comfortable warmth brought out by the vermilion bird true qi, Chen Xiang's body was finally restored from the sudden stiffness. He. Chen Yihan's sinister laugh resounded throughout the entire area, and suddenly a white icy qi started overflowing from the center of his palm. The threatening freezing cold qi aura was clearly discernible and directly rushed towards Chen Xiang's head. Chen Xiang saw that his opponent was making a move, and he slid forward, as slippery and flexible as a snake. Sliding quickly to the front while trying to avoid Chen Yihan's attack, he also unexpectedly attacked. Chen Xiang's treading was flexible and mysterious, and both of his hands transformed into dragon claws. Mesmerizing azure dragon true qi overflowed from both of his hands, and this was the same azure dragon claw used to defeat Chen Zhenhua previously. But this time, he brought out a dragon claw from both his hands, which caused everyone to hold their breath in anticipation. Humph! Chen Yihan emitted a cold sneer, and 2 icy qi palms boldly shot towards Chen Xiang's dragon claws. When Chen Yihan's palms struck Chen Xiang's dragon claws, a cold qi gushed out and Chen Xiang's pair of azure dragon claws suddenly shattered. Chen Xiang's arms were covered with a thick layer of ice, and frosty qi was permeating into his body and causing his entire self to stiffen up. Chen Yihan smiled coldly, and from his feet frost congealed out and he slightly jumped. He vigorously kicked Chen Xiang's cheek, which flung Chen Xiang 10 feet away. Chen Xiang fell on the ground, his cheek sheared due to the sharp ice, and drawing a few scars. The ice which was covering his arms also broke, but both his hands were actually frozen stiff. The Tai Chi diagram from the divine exercise started revolving and absorbing the cold qi flowing inside his body, while allowing the fiery vermilion bird true qi to surge into his arms, getting rid of the cold pain. Chen Xiang now only realized that even though he had a divine exercise, the gap between the two of them was still too large, but he had to win. Ha ha ha. I have to acknowledge that out of all the geniuses that have ever been born in the Chen family, you are the greatest one yet, but you and your father are too arrogant. Chen Yihan with an evil smile, step by step moved towards Chen Xiang, as he was in no hurry to kill Chen Xiang. He wants to tear Chen Xiang into numerous pieces in front of the Chen family members, to show his strength and deter everyone. Suddenly, Chen Xiang with a flip actually stood up, and everyone thought he was seriously injured from the kick a moment ago, but it looked like nothing had happened to him, including Chen Yihan. Everyone was surprised. On the sidelines where Chen Tianyu was watching, he let out a sigh of relief while transferring qi to heal himself. Seeing that Chen Xiang had not taken that much damage, Chen Yihan leapt forward, moving with elegance and gentleness. For everyone present, this agility skill was pleasing to the eye. With Chen Yihan approaching, Chen Xiang felt that he was inside a world full of ice and snow, and below his feet were covered with a layer of frost. Chen Yihan leapt, and the freezing cold fist felt like it was strong enough to shake the skies. His fist instantaneously landed on Chen Xiang's chest, and blood started to flow from where he was just struck, but it was immediately covered with frost. It is the profound ice aura energy, a high-grade profound level martial skill. Releasing it can even pierce metal and break stone. Chen Tianyu spoke with a dignified tone. After being hit, Chen Xiang almost simultaneously dodged the incoming flying kick coming from Chen Yihan, resulting in Chen Yihan's kick to be covered with a layer of ice when it landed on the ground, and shattering a large amount of bricks, and it also crushed stones from the shock and froze them. Casting Qi Aura has 2 weaknesses. It consumes true Qi and divine sense quickly, but if he does not use Qi Aura, you will not get injured, Chen Tianyu said. Chen Xiang knew that he could only drag the battle on. Well, it's useless. I have a very large amount of true Qi. You probably won't be able to drag it out for long and be the first one to fall. Chen Yihan objected. He resumed his onslaught against Chen Xiang, delivering countless strikes against him. Even before the flurry of attacks, Chen Xiang was injured. Now that Chen Yihan continued to keep up the pressure, he was confident that Chen Xing would soon die by his hand. Chen Yihan blasted fist after fist, continuously attacking with his profound ice aura energy. He also delivered the attacks from a long range away, so that Chen Xiang could not retaliate and only endure. Ha ha ha. Just a moment ago you kept on proclaiming that you must fight on behalf of your father. But now look, you don't even have the strength to resist. Chen Yihan emitted a shrill laugh. On Chen Zhang's body, many bloody holes were emerging due to the strikes caused by the profound ice aura energy. which burst out from the inside of his skin. Chen Xiang took a deep breath while revolving the Tai Chi yin-yang diagram within his body. With the help of his spiritual power, he controlled the 5 elements of true qi stored inside his body and proceeded to fuse them together. The 5 elements of true qi started to converge. Right now, the only chance of winning for Chen Xiang was to simultaneously use the 5 elements of true qi. However, after the 5 elements of true qi were done fusing together, it would become intrepid and wild. His current meridians were not be able to bear the strain. Fusing together the 5 elements of true qi had never been attempted by anyone before this, mainly because nobody ever had the opportunity. Chen Xiang was the first to embark on this mysterious domain which could be called pure insanity. If he was unable to control the qigong deviation would occur and as a result Chen Xiang would die. However, he was successful. Although he felt his meridians threatening to rupture, within his dantian, the 5 elements of true qi had actually been perfectly fused together. But it was still much harder to control, and a large amount of true qi was lost from his meridians. Chen Xiang knew that he must act quickly, before the true qi was exhausted. He needed to use this frightening power to defeat Chen Yihan. A violent aura suddenly exploded from Chen Xiang. Chen Yihan's heart could not help but thump, as the true qi that suddenly appeared gave off the impression of an overbearing and tyrannical nature that would not hesitate to destroy anything in its path. Ah! Chen Xiang's body was in pain due to the impact from the violent true qi, and he could not help but howl in pain. Suddenly, visible oppressive qi waves started to pour out. A howl engulfed everything around them like a sea, as the whole field fiercely shook. All the bricks near Chen Xiang started to shatter. Everything in the entire world was constituted of the 5 elements. By fusing together the 5 elemental forces, it would contain the heaven and universe. At the moment, Chen Xiang had fused together the 5 elemental forces and formed the universe's power, the universal true qi. Fall down. From within Chen Yihan's body, an icy qi burst forth. The more he felt threatened by Chen Xiang, the more he wanted to end the battle and quickly defeat Chen Xiang in order to prevent him from being victorious. Lightning was flashing in Chen Xiang's eyes. He moved towards Chen Yihan with large strides, and the soles of his feet were filled with the universal force containing a destructive nature. Each of his steps broke the floor tiles on impact. The momentum from his intense speed was like that of a herd of 10,000 steeds. Profound ice aura energy. Chen Yihan eyebrows twitched as he looked at Chen Xiang. Both his fists moved together as 2 more intrepid freezing cold aura energies sprayed a cold qi strike towards Chen Xiang. At this moment Chen Xiang's mental state was similar to a maniac. In his mind there was only one thought, to defeat Chen Yihan. The 2, profound ice aura energy, were able to tear stones apart on impact. Chen Xiang roared as he caught the frightening aura energies with both of his palms. A layer of ice momentarily covered his arms, but was broken in just an instant while never stopping his charge. It only took a moment for Chen Xiang to arrive in front of Chen Yihan. His pair of fists struck forward, each producing a true qi explosion. This turned out to be the very common high-grade mortal-level martial skill, storm-killing fist. With each fist, a true qi explosion would be produced, and it was extremely lethal but in return it consumed a lot of true qi. As each fist moved through the air, thunderous qi waves were emitted. Yet even with this, Chen Xiang's fists were lightning quick. Fist after fist, the waves of blows surged without break, almost as if executing the storm-killing fist did not consume any true qi. Chen Xiang had casted the storm-killing fist with universal true qi. This frightening level of power made everyone's heart tremble. This level of attack was actually equal to qi aura. Chen Yihan also had to use qi aura in order to resist Chen Xiang's wild, storm-killing fists, which fell towards his body like rain on the ground. As he resisted each blow, his heart could not help but sink. The violent true qi explosion even made him feel fear. If even one fist managed to strike him, getting seriously injured would be unavoidable. Even after a few more breaths of time, Chen Xiang continuously blasted dozens of storm-killing fists. Chen Tianyu's eyes were wide open. His son was actually this incredibly valiant, but he could tell that Chen Xiang's situation was actually not that good. To display power which transcends one's limit was essentially damaging to their own body. Mother ********. Chen Yihan continued to resist those crazy, storm-killing fists. He could not help but curse. For everyone else, it was their first time seeing someone using storm-killing fist in such a peculiar manner. It was also the first time they understood that this high-grade mortal-level martial skill could unexpectedly become this frightening. The universal true qi was intensely draining for Chen Xiang's body. He was regretting in his heart. He felt that if the true qi inside him was consumed and Chen Yihan was still not defeated, then he was doomed. Chen Xiang suddenly opened his mouth and let loose a giant roar. A dragon's roar resounded through the horizon. Chen Xiang ejected a violent clear true qi from his mouth, submerging Chen Yihan's figure in one shout. This was the Azure Dragon Roar, but this time colorless universal true qi was surging out. Inside the roar was lighting, flame, water, ice and various other kinds of attributes. Chen Yihan did not expect Chen Xiang to suddenly cast a large move. He quickly retreated to open up a gap between them while operating his true qi. He started releasing his qi aura to create an ice cover to try and resist this violent true qi attack. Suddenly, in Chen Xiang's hands, appeared a broadsword that was gleaming with a cold light. TLN. Broadsword, Da Dao. Chen Xiang's whole body was emitting a violent true qi. He pulled back the blade and with a yell, poured all of his remaining true qi into the blade. This let loose a burst of glaring azure aura that exuded a sharp dragon roar that cracked stone and penetrated the clouds. The sight was mesmerizing to the hearts and souls of those present. Chen Xiang leapt into the sky. His blade that was boosted with azure light left only a blur to be seen. Slicing the air with irresistible force, the blade hacked towards Chen Yihan's head. No, from the distance a voices resounded. The broadsword had been chopped downwards with an intent to split Chen Yihan in half, but the blade stopped right next to his neck. Receiving that quick and powerful attack from Chen Xiang, violent true qi surged out in all four directions as everyone stood like a stone carving in situ, blankly staring at Chen Xiang holding that broadsword. Everyone was shocked speechless by Chen Xiang's crazy and overbearing martial might. How was he a waste with no spiritual vein? He is simply a frightening monster. A 16-year-old yet defeating a 7th-level mortal martial realm practitioner, it was simply a miracle. In addition, Chen Xiang was also an alchemist. Their family gave birth to this type of genius. This fact alone made many of the Chen family members' hearts incomparably excited. Chen Xiang _, Chen Xiang _, Chen Xiang. Many people were shouting Chen Xiang's name in unison. Within their hearts, their feelings could not help but give way to newfound pride. Before, everyone thought that Chen Xiang accepting the challenge of the Yao family genius would be similar to fighting a hopeless battle, but looking back on it now, Chen Xiang was completely sure about winning. Inside the field, Chen Tianyu arrived at the side of the injured Chen Haohai and Chen Yihan. Facing them he said, "You and I were all competing for the patriarch's position. I did not hope to end it such a way. We are Chen family members and we should all be united. If you refuse to accept me as your patriarch, you can take your followers and leave the Chen family." Chen Haohai and Chen Yihan both glanced at each other before looking towards Chen Xiang and heaving heavy sighs. Chen Haohai firmly grasped Chen Tianyu's arm. With a heavy tone he said, "I hope you can lead the Chen family. I, Chen Haohai, have lived as a Chen family member and even after death I will become a Chen family ghost. I, Chen Haohai, am sincerely convinced by the new patriarch." Chen Haohai and Chen Yihan were not fools. They had gained insight on how frightening Chen Xiang's potential is. If he is cultivated well, soon he will have very good chances to become a fierce alchemist. If you could build a good relation now, you can reap the benefits later. It is not wise to offend a top-level alchemist, plus, Chen Tianyu was now letting go of all the past enmities, which is good thing for them. "Two seniors, for the previous offenses please forgive me. For our Chen family to survive in these lands for many years, we must not have internal strife." Chen Xiang gave his apologies after arriving in front of Chen Haohai and Chen Yihan. Chen Xiang's statements and actions caused many Chen family children and elders to secretly nod in approval. Although at such a young age he had already defeated a formidable elder, he was not proud, but actually very modest. This kind of subtlety is quite rare among many of the Chen family juniors. The Chen brothers were also somewhat ashamed. "My dear nephew, first go and recuperate. Dragging the injuries for a long time can be detrimental to future cultivation," Chen Yihan said, while passing some of his healing dans. For the elder competition to reach such a conclusion, made the other elders quite satisfied. An elder with a clear and resonant voice said, "Ladies and gentlemen, the banquet will take place after 10 days, but I also request for everyone to stay after as well. By that time, many other families will have sent someone to participate. At that point, it would be a good opportunity for you to make friends with the other families." Chen Xiang returned to his room. While looking at his scarred body, he could not help but let loose a deep breath. Just before, his fight with Chen Yihan was very dangerous. Yet at this moment, his mind was excited because at the 5th level of the mortal martial realm, he has the strength to defeat someone at the 7th level of the mortal martial realm. After giving his all in the previous fight, he also felt like his power level had somewhat increased. He had gained a lot of experience in utilizing qi. No wonder he had heard that in order to become a powerful martial artist, one needed to go through numerous battles. Just as Chen Xiang was about to take the healing pills, two auras reflected onto his eyes. He blinked, only to see Bai Yuyu and Su Meiyao with straight faces standing right in front of him. "You brat, just a moment ago, you were too rash. What would we do if you had died? We have poured too much effort into your body," shouted Bai Yuyu with a cold expression. Chen Xiang felt a cold chill running down his spine. Su Meiyao stuck her tongue out and said, "After considering the circumstance, devilish brat, you were somewhat courageous. This time, we will let you off the hook." However, next time you must be cautious. Take off your clothes, I will help you apply the ointments. During Chen Xiang and Chen Yihan's battle, his body was covered in many cuts due to the icy true aura. His body was covered in numerous bloodstains. If it was not specially treated, it would be harder to heal. Thus, Chen Xiang was now lying on his bed enjoying the soft and tender hands of Su Meiyao applying some ointments, which made him feel very comfortable. In accordance with custom, the other families were invited to celebrate the newly elected Chen family patriarch. However, it takes quite some time for the other families to arrive, so the actual celebration is held sometime later. But at this banquet, everyone's attention was on the expected alchemy competition between Chen Xiang and the Yao family genius. Everyone was discussing this coming alchemy competition, so at this time, many people were coming to the banquet. Many came to see the Chen family get humiliated. The Chen family's security was very tight, so news of Chen Xiang's recent achievements did not spread. In the morning, a drop of azure essence was spat out by Chen Xiang. This dewdrop was congealed from his use of the dragon saliva exercise. He wants to grasp more alchemy techniques in the upcoming 10 days and wants to try refining a mortal level middle grade pill. At his age, to congeal a mortal level middle grade, quenching body dan, was enough to be compared with legendary genius alchemists, and even transcend many of them. You want to refine mortal level middle grade in this short time? It is somewhat difficult, but I Su Meiyao like to do these kind of challenging things. Su Meiyao's gentle voice transmitted through Chen Xiang's mind. Chen Xiang while laughing said, Sister Meiyao, then quickly teach me. Su Meiyao with a soft smile said, don't grin that happily, this will come with a price. Although you are quite skilled in refining mortal level low grade dans, and even have a bit of experience in refining middle grade dans, your spiritual power is not enough. You need to be at the 7th level of the mortal martial realm. Then, with divine sense, you will become able to accurately manipulate the flames, and with enough control, instantly congeal the dans. Chen Xiang, while nodding his head, said, well on the side, I will accelerate the growth of the mortal level middle grade spirit herb, while elevating my power level. I hope to catch up before the day of the alchemy competition. Su Meiyao said, in order to practice divine sense, you need a large amount of true qi and spiritual power to successfully fuse together into divine sense. There is a certain level of difficulty, but since you practice the Tai Chi divine exercise, this process should be a lot fast. Still, doing it in 10 days is doubtful. Chen Xiang let loose a small sigh. He has been too impatient and this was a big taboo. Well, there is still a way to quickly elevate your strength, Su Meiyao said with a mysterious smile said. How? Chen Xiang asked quickly. Suddenly Bai Yu transmits with her ice-cold voice, Immortal and Devil Pool. At this moment, Chen Xiang remembered that below the Immortal and Devil Cliff, there was a strange pool. When he had fallen down there, he was able to breathe inside it. Moreover, the pool was also shining. But besides that, he did not discover anything special about it. Is that the weird pool at the bottom of the cliff? Chen Xiang asked with uncertainty. Yes, you should know we were forced by our personal enemy into that pool. Su Meiyao words made Chen Xiang somewhat curious. It turned out, these two peerless martial arts girls were dropped there. In the end, how is that place mystical? The more Chen Xiang thought about it, the more suspicious he got. This was because that Immortal and Devil Cliff was perennially filled with death qi, yet for some reason there was no trace of death qi near that pool. After Chen Xiang learned that the Immortal and Devil Pool is out of the ordinary, he immediately mixed dragon saliva into the water, then poured in various spirit herbs and flowers. Following that, he greeted his father and quietly left the Chen family villa, taking a trip to the Immortal and Devil Cliff. On the way, he listened to Su Meiyao describing things about the Immortal and Devil Cliff. That place is called the Immortal and Devil Cliff because that place was where immortals and devils are buried. That pool was transformed from the pure energy that was emitted from their corpses. Someone intentionally created that pool, and the death qi near its surroundings are also caused due to the overflow from the immortals and devils' corpses, Su Meiyao said. Chen Xiang was horrified. Immortals and devil are legendary beings and he completely did not expect their corpses to lie there. This also made him incomparably excited, if that pool truly is made up of pure energy and he managed to obtain it. Chen Xiang arrived at the Immortal and Devil Cliff while looking down at the black-colored death qi. He muttered, in this world are there really immortals and devils? Su Meiyao retorted with a soft snort, of course. Do not think that the true martial realm is the strongest state for martial practitioners. Above the true martial realm there are 3 further extreme stages, and then after this there is the nirvana realm. After a successful nirvana, one will be able to enter the heaven martial realm, reaching a huge spatial world, called heaven martial world. Do not think about those massive worlds. The world we are living in is called the mortal martial world and it is also vast. The spirit qi is very thin here, so there are very few accumulations of demon beasts. Those truly strong martial arts practitioners travel to places with very rich spirit qi. Their strong martial artists are as plentiful as the clouds and there are many demon beasts. However, it is also considered very dangerous. If one don't have a certain amount of strength, death is inevitable in that region. It was the first time Chen Xiang had heard about the world of martial arts and it surprised him. However, it also made him realize just how insignificant he was. Before he used to think the true martial realm was very powerful, but he never imagined that there were stages above the true martial realm. Brat, this mortal martial world is vast. There are many mainlands besides this one. In some of these mainlands, there are many formidable martial artists, and in this endless world, there are many hidden realms. In these hidden realms, you can find many heavenly forged treasures. While also being very dangerous, as long you have enough strength, you'll be able to experience the vastness of the whole martial world. Currently, you just have to understand just how tiny and insignificant you are, Bai Yu said coldly. Chen Xiang tightened his fist. This time, he had a brief outlook of the world, and only by constantly elevating his strength would it allow him to take foothold in this martial world where the strong are as trees in a forest, sturdy and unmoving. Chen Xiang jumped down into the abyss. Currently, he was in the 5th level of the mortal martial realm, and there was a pool beneath him. Considering his strength, he did not need to waste time to climb down slowly. Splash! Chen Xiang once again entered the pool with white light emitting from it. Abyssal demon beasts frequently appeared next to the pool, but Chen Xiang did not fret about it, because the strength of these infested demon beasts were average and Chen Xiang's current strength was more than sufficient enough to deal with them. Mei Yao's sister, how can I use the immortal and devil pool? Chen Xiang asked while churning the strange water with his hands. Excluding the fact that the water was shining, he did not think there was anything strange about this place. Su Mei Yao spoke. After the death of the immortals and devils, a great multitude of pure energy flew out of their corpses, but you cannot absorb these energies. After all, it's not your energy. However, you can only use the energy to refine the body and the spirit, but it is a very painful process. Chen Xiang's brow wrinkled. How long should I stay in the immortal and devil pool? Su Mei Yao. I don't know. I suppose you can stay until you cannot bear the pain. You just have to jump inside the pool and start operating the Tai Chi divine exercise, while simply trying to guide the energies into your body. Chen Xiang, without any delay, took off his clothes and jumped inside, submerging himself in the pool. He could breathe normally underwater, so he had nothing to worry about. Moreover, this protected him from the attacks of the demon beasts. After submerging himself, Chen Xiang began operating the Tai Chi divine exercise. Suddenly he felt that his body was being squeezed from all 4 directions by a bizarre power, as if to make his body to squeeze together to form a ball, which made him constantly wary. At the same time, a bizarre kind of energy madly rushed into his body. It continuously bombarded every part of his body as it flowed. He felt as if his body was about to burst. Every bone felt as if small insects were biting them, and it was a feeling worse than death itself. Some blisters were constantly emerging from the immortal and devil pool, and the water also churned continuously. This was all because of Chen Xiang was frantically struggling in the pool from below. After an unknown amount of time, Chen Xiang's body started to float from the pool below. He was lying on the edge of the pool, and panting heavily. He said, how have I not yet entered into the 6th level of mortal martial realm? Do you think you can break through this quickly? You are currently only refining the body so that your whole body becomes more powerful while also elevating your spirit. Su Mei Yao's voice transmitted into his mind. Chen Xiang stood up, gripping both his fists, and felt his strong body. Although he had yet to enter into the 6th level of mortal martial realm, a solid foundation was set. How many days was I under? Chen Xiang asked. He had been subjected to unimaginable pain in the immortal and devil pool without any concept of time. Only 5 days. Although this immortal and devil pool has little use, it still lets you practice the basics of the immortal devil body, Su Mei Yao said. Chen Xiang's heart was secretly shocked about this immortal devil body, and listening to the name he knew it was very formidable. Immortal and devil cliff. In the abyss below there was a roaring burst occasionally, as well as a weak surge of strange true qi. The true qi was filled with the sense of an ancient atmosphere of vicissitudes, surging with an inexplicable pressure. That true qi was Chen Xiang releasing his Azure Dragon true qi by practicing the Azure Dragon divine exercise. Chen Xiang did not leave the immortal and devil cliff, but still practiced below with a bare chest. On his iron fist Azure true qi was boldly continuously bombarding the cliff, and broken stones violently flew. Hhi's whole body was filled with true qi. He released numerous strikes making a small cave in the cliff, but his breath however, remained stable, showing that his true qi and body strength were now much more vigorous. With every fist, true qi would rebound, directly surging from his arm into his head, and sudden spiritual power accumulated inside his brain, developing his brain and enhancing his spiritual power. This was one of the methods to practice divine sense. When Chen Xiang was practicing below, the commotion was not small. An originally silent abyss was now rumbling with sounds, resounding throughout the abyss. After 2 days, Chen Xiang felt his true qi was now full, and his spiritual power was much more enhanced. and as long as he opened his soul sea, he could advance to the 6th level of the mortal martial realm, the divine sense realm. To break through, one needed his spiritual power to be vigorous. TLN. Divine sense, she and she, can be referred to spirit sense or simply soul. Since spirit is used in many places, I used divine sense, and not soul because it felt appropriate, because using divine sense felt better than using soul. Prepare to break through the level 6 threshold. Chen Xiang took a long breath. After 2 days of practice, he could feel how tyrannical his body was, and this was all due to the refinement in the immortal and devil pool. Chen Xiang sat cross-legged on the ground, closing his eyes, and with rapt attention operated the true qi within his body. While releasing his spiritual power, he let the two blend, using spiritual power to sense the soul gate, and using the true qi to break it open. The profound heart law of the Tai Chi divine exercise was directing Chen Xiang's true qi and spiritual power to seek the soul gate hidden inside his soul. Soon, Chen Xiang saw a golden door as if it was right in front of his eyes. Seeing the door meant the divine sense realm was right in front of him, condensed right between the eyebrows, and moving with one thought. Azure true qi suddenly transformed into a claw, then into a solemn azure dragon. The true qi that transformed into an azure dragon gave a fierce roar and hit that golden gate. As the azure dragon hit the door, it blew outward with a bang sound. Chen Xiang saw a glaring golden aura. At the same time, he opened his eyes and a tough true qi flowed in every part of his body, and he couldn't help but yell in surprise. The 5 elements of true qi violently surged out from inside his body, raising the fierce wind, and blowing out in all 4 directions. Is this 6th level of the mortal martial realm? Chen Xiang closed his eyes while feeling his internal vigorous and formidable true qi, simultaneously releasing his divine sense, and the slightest sign of trouble all around was within his grasp. Chen Xiang opens his eyes, slightly smiled. This time I can use that trick. Behind his back a sudden burst of fiery aura could be seen. The flames transformed into a pair of gigantic wings rising behind his back. A fiery aura burst out with a flash and heat waves rose, looking like a pair of phoenix wings. Vermilion bird fire wings. Fly. Chen Xiang's laughter came forth, as his fire wings fluttered upward, and just within a few blinks of time, his silhouette was gone into the black death qi. This is where the 6th level of mortal martial realm showed its power. By controlling internal true qi with the powerful divine sense to keep it solidified, Chen Xiang's internal true qi could be released outside, to transform into wings and fly into the sky. Chen Xiang was standing above the immortal and devil cliff. He had put away his vermilion bird fire wings. To transform true qi into wings required a very high-grade technique. He practiced the Tai Chi divine exercise, which, of course, included these types of martial techniques. As Chen Xiang arrived at the top of the immortal and devil cliff, he heard sounds of fighting coming from below. Although the distance was quite far away, he was able to hear it clearly through his divine sense. Chen Xiang immediately started to fly towards it. If it was just an ordinary battle, he wouldn't pay the slightest attention, but the sounds of fighting were deafening and created large impacts. Chen Xiang deduced from this that it was no ordinary martial battle. Chen Xiang flew silently through the air, arriving before a forest clearing. There he saw 2 handsome teenagers against 5 black-robed assailants. The 2 seemed rather frail, but their strength was satisfactory. They were matching the 5 black-robed people's knife techniques, but their true qi was not potent enough. If they continued to delay, they would certainly end up being killed by the 5 black-robed people. It seems to be the Shui family imaginary sword technique, where the aura illuminating from the sword produces illusions, making it difficult to distinguish between opponents. Chen Xiang read various martial art books in his lifetime, and could instantly identify the sword style with just a glance. After learning they were Shui family members, Chen Xiang could not idly sit by. After all, Shui Shenxian was his fiancé. Additionally, the Chen and Shui families had a close relationship. Watch out, Chen Xiang shouted. His body seemed like an azure rainbow as he flew towards the commotion. His hand transformed into a dragon's claw as it headed straight towards the head of a black-robed man. He roared at the same moment as an azure true qi wave gushed out from inside his mouth, covering the black-robed man. Along with the azure dragon roar, Chen Xiang's azure dragon claw grasped the head of the black-robed man. In an instant, the black-robed man's skull shattered into shards of bone and flesh. This sudden scene of insane brute force stunned the remaining 4 black-robed men and the 2 Shui family members. The true qi that was embodied with the majesty of the azure dragon caused their hearts to be shocked from fear. Of course, the most shocking thing to them was the martial technique that they had never seen before. After Chen Xiang broke the skull of the black-robed man, the dragon claw immediately transformed back into a fist striking towards another black-robed man. In an instant, he struck dozens of times, forming afterimages like the wind. They were sent whistling towards the astonished black-robed man. The blows pounded onto his body and after the strike, emitted a series of explosions. This was the storm-killing fist. Chen Xiang's true qi was now much more potent, and so casting storm-killing fist was quite simple and easy. He did not have to worry about the consumption of true qi, and each fist's explosive power was phenomenal. It was quite difficult to resist, not to mention the fact that he could instantly use this technique multiple times. With a moment of effort, Chen Xiang had defeated another black-robed man. After that display, the two Shui family teenagers finally reacted and continued to attack with their swords. After Chen Xiang had joined the fight, the remaining black-robed men began to retreat after witnessing their two defeats. They were soon beaten and seriously injured, and they did not expect this type of result. "Thanks a lot for the rescue, esteemed senior brother," one slightly tall teenager said while cupping his fist. "This one is called little brother Shui Ming." "Shui Jilong," the other teenager said while cupping his fist, "Thanks a lot for coming to the rescue, great brother." Although Chen Xiang was only 16 years old, he was very big and tall, so he looked relatively more mature. "No need to be so polite, I am called Chen Xiang. Our Chen and Shui family have had a friendship for many generations, so this is a must." Chen Xiang also replied with courtesy. This caused Shui Ming and Shui Jilong's countenance to change. They had not expected their savior to be Chen Xiang. Chen Xiang was quite famous in the Shui family because their beloved daughter of the heavens, Shui Shenxian, was Chen Xiang's fiancée. However, many juniors of the Shui family were not in favor of Chen Xiang because they knew Chen Xiang does not have a martial practitioner's spiritual vein. They were thus amazed at Chen Xiang's display of strength. "Are you really Chen Xiang?" Shui Ming found it somewhat hard to believe. Chen Xiang, while nodding and smiling, said, "Of course, you two should be here to attend our Chen family's banquet, right?" Shui Ming and Shui Jilong nodded their heads. Although they were uncertain, they did not question Chen Xiang anymore. After all, it would be impolite. This person was their savior. "What is the origin of these people? Why were they trying to assassinate you?" Chen Xiang looked at the three injured black-robed men on the ground. Shui Ming said, "They are killers from an unknown organization. Their strength should be at the 5th level of the mortal martial realm. We met them on the way." Shui Ming and Shui Jilong beheaded the remaining three. They did not uncover anything from their possessions, and they also did not intend to interrogate them. Since these assassins were specially trained, they would not open their mouth even in death. "Great brother Chen, you should have entered the 6th level of the mortal martial realm, otherwise, you could not have easily killed those two black-robed men." Shui Ming thought about Chen Xiang's sudden rush and how he killed the two black-robed men instantly. One could not help but feel chills run down their spine. They respected Chen Xiang because although they were much older than him, he was still stronger than them. Chen Xiang nodded with a smile. "I just broke through." Chen released true qi flames and incinerated the corpses. This made Shui Ming and Shui Jilong slightly surprised. True qi flames was an alchemical flame. This time, they understood why Chen Xiang had the courage to accept the challenge of the Yao family genius. Shui Jilong had an ashamed look on his face as he spoke. "Great brother Chen, I really did not think that you had concealed your strength all this time. Before I used to always look down upon you, please forgive me." Chen Xiang shook his head and said with a smile, "No problem, after all, strength comes first in this world. Right, is Chen Xiang coming to attend the banquet?" Shui Ming smiled and said, "She is the cause of the challenge between you and Yao family genius, how can she not come? No wonder this little girl only has great brother Chen in her heart and so much confidence in her choice." Chen Xiang was speechless. He did not think that Shui Shenxian would truly pass on his challenge to the Yao family genius. Initially, he had indeed said it, but he had not thought that it would arrive this quickly. "Great brother Chen, that Yao family genius is very cunning. Although you are strong, the challenge is issued by him, so he will definitely compete in alchemy. His strength is probably also not weak. It has always been a mystery," Shui Ming said. Shui Jilong nodded and added, "I've seen that guy, he is very arrogant. Previously he was invited to our Shui family, and he was already looking at little sister Shenxian and did not pay any attention to other people. However, his alchemy is splendid, thus the patriarch and elders endured him. Therefore, they want to match Shenxian and that guy in a marriage." Chen Xiang had already heard about the Yao family genius. He was known to be very arrogant and proud, but many people thought it was natural considering he was one of the youngest alchemists. In front was the hustling and bustling Wohu city. Chen Xiang and Shui Ming noticed in the distance a team of horses gradually moving towards Wohu city. This team of horses and carriages was very grand, a total of 5 luxurious horse carriages, and each was being towed by 8 steeds, but one carriage team had a man riding a horse who looked imposing and cold. His whole face teemed with slaughter chi, and with one look one could easily tell that he was a bodyguard. "Yes, Yao family members are really extraordinary," Chen Xiang said as he saw the big Yao symbol on the horse carriage, while those bodyguards' luxurious clothing also had the Yao insignia on it. The Yao family style had always been high profile. "You three, quickly report your name, otherwise, we will deal with you as murderers." Suddenly a fierce shout came from the carriage team. This made Chen Xiang and Shui Ming unpleased. At that instant, just after their reply, a long two-edged sword came like an arrow out of the blue. On top of it, vigorous true qi was seen, and it was flying precisely towards Chen Xiang. Chen Xiang quickly took a few steps, his hands similar to a dragon's claw. It shot out like lightning, firmly grasped the flying sword, and suddenly a powerful qi exploded. While blocking the true qi from the sword, Chen Xiang's arm was the only thing that slightly moved. He stood firmly and steadily like a mountain. Chen Xiang coldly said, I am Chen Xiang, a Chen family member. Who are you? Quickly report your name or else I will treat you as killers. This declaration made Shui Ming and Shui Jilong's hearts tremble. Chen Xiang was clearly being provocative towards the Yao family carriage. It should be known that the Yao family had sent many experts to protect their family genius. Just that flying sword alone was enough to make their guts tighten. If it were them standing there instead of Chen Xiang, they would certainly not be able to block that sword. Brother Xiang. During the silence between both sides, a sweet and gentle shout came from inside the carriage. Suddenly a slender silhouette came flying out with staggering speed. Without good eyesight, one simply would not be able to catch the person's appearance. However, Chen Xiang could clearly tell that it was Chen Xiang. Her Qinggong had reached a high degree of proficiency. Even Chen Xiang could not help but gasp in surprise. TLN. Qinggong Chinese martial technique for dodging and movement. Shui Shenshen's movement seemed like she was only skimming the ground. In one breath she treaded 100 feet and arrived in front of Chen Xiang and the others. With a charming smile she said, Shao Qi, Shao Ba, you are also here. Shui Ming and Shui Jilan both snorted, as Shui Ming said, little girl, you should not call us like that in front of outsiders. Otherwise, how are we supposed to show our faces in public? Shui Shenshian stuck her tongue out and then laughed tenderly, revealing two little dimples on her sweet and tender cheeks. It was a beautiful and heart-rending expression. Chen Xiang couldn't help but squeeze Shui Shenshen's beautiful face and with a laugh said, how can you be together with your husband's enemies? Just now, I was almost killed by that group of people. Shui Shenshian furrowed her nose, laughing softly. I know Brother Xiang is very formidable. That sword was thrown by a Yao family elder. Chen Xiang recalled that the previous true qi explosion was indeed quite frightening. Its power was at least in the 7th level of the mortal martial realm. However, he practiced all 5 elements of true qi so he could easily best it. The Yao family's carriage stopped as several people stepped down from the horse carriage. It seemed like they were waiting for Chen Xiang to step aside. Brother Xiang, we should move, Shui Shenshian softly said. No, it is not necessary. Chen Xiang looked coldly at the carriage team while remembering the ruthlessly thrown sword, and in his heart he was furious. That was because if it were an ordinary person, then they would have died unjustly. Chen family junior, come and salute the Yao family elder, a person waiting near the carriage shouted. I'm not going to salute someone who just tried to kill me. Furthermore, there is not a single rule in my Chen family which directs me to salute a Yao family elder, Chen Xiang replied coldly. Shui Ming and Shui Jiliang suddenly admired Chen Xiang. He dared not only to contradict a Yao family member, but did so in the presence of a Yao family elder. Humph, a good-for-nothing showing arrogance. We will continue on our way. Ironically, a voice full of arrogance was heard. It sounded very weak, yet still reached Chen Zhang's ear, which showed that this man's strength was quite good. After all, they were separated by at least 100 feet. Shui Shenshen's eyebrows wrinkled. While softly snorting, she held onto Chen Zhang's arm and whispered, don't mind him. Chen Xiang sneered. He tightly gripped the sword that was thrown just a moment ago and poured his true qi into it before throwing the sword towards that distant carriage team. Azure true qi enveloped the sword. It flew and pierced the middle carriage wheel while discharging an azure light, which was followed by an explosion that shattered the whole wheel. But since the luxurious carriage had 4 wheels, it remained stable. Shui Ming, Shui Jilong and Shui Shenshian were dumbfounded. They did not expect Chen Xiang to repeatedly provoke the Yao family members. They also felt extremely shocked regarding the sword throw from Chen Xiang. The formidable strength put into it was actually comparable with the sword that was formerly thrown by the Yao family elder a moment earlier. Sorry, I just returned the sword yet no one was there to receive it, Chen Xiang faintly said. However, his voice was transmitted in all 4 directions and was filled with provocation. You're courting death, Yao Tianhua angrily shouted, yet he did not follow suit. It seemed as if he was being blocked. The carriage team continued onward as if nothing had happened. My father is still inside the carriage, I have to accompany him. I probably won't have the opportunity to stay beside him in the future, Shui Shenshian said with a distressed tone. Her beautiful face revealed a somewhat anxious expression. Chen Xiang caressed her hair while softly speaking, go. Shui Shenshian dashed away. Chen Xiang thoughtfully looked at her departing back and asked, why would she not have the opportunity to accompany her father in the future? Shui Ming spoke with a furrowed brow, Big Brother Chen, Have you heard about those martial art sects inside the Immortal Mountains? This little girl will probably be fancied by those martial art sects and enroll in one of them. The number of powerful martial experts in the sects were as plentiful as the clouds in the sky. Many martial artists aspired their whole life to go there, but the best time to go would be during childhood. If you want to enter those sects, it's best to apply after advancing to the 9th level of the mortal martial realm. Otherwise you would not be able to properly accompany her, Su Meiyao suddenly said. Chen Xiang had a strong desire to enter those sects. After all, once he was there, he would be able to experience the strength of much more formidable martial artists. The spirit chi was also rich there, which would allow him to display the full potential of his yin and yang divine vein. Chen Xiang, with Shui Ming and Shui Jilong entered Wohu City. The Shui family had some shops inside, so they turned down Chen Xiang's invitation to accompany him into the Chen family villa. The Chen family villa was quite lively inside. There were only 3 days until the banquet. Chen Xiang quickly greeted his father before returning to his own residence. My current cultivation is at the 6th level of the mortal martial realm. I think I can now start to refine middle-grade mortal level dans. Chen Xiang looked at the 2 beautiful girls who were drinking fragrant tea. Bai Yu said, although I am not an alchemist, I know that the materials required to refine mortal level dans are very expensive. If you want to refine them, you also need to spend a large amount of spirit coins. Su Meiyao lightly sipped the tea with a smile, saying, that is not a problem. Don't you have the hell spirit grass, and the 1000-year blood spirit grass? If these 2 spirit herbs were sold, that would be enough for the supply cost. Chen Xiang had obviously not forgotten that he had these 2 precious spirit herbs. He smiled and asked, elder sisters, don't you have any treasuries with you? Currently, I do not have unsuitable weapons on me. Su Meiyao sighed, my magic storage weapon was taken away by the enemy. Fortunately I was able to conceal one storage ring, but it only has some clothes inside, nothing more. While speaking on this matter, Bai Yu's elegant and beautiful face was filled with anger as she accidentally crushed the teacup. Chen Xiang could easily tell that there was a lot of good things inside that magical storage weapon. You practice the divine exercise of 4 symbols. The most suitable weapons for you to use are the 4 beasts' divine weapons, but these are not easy to find, because each one is a divine weapon. Su Meiyao's words made Chen Xiang feel slightly excited. Divine weapons? Weapons used by gods? Wouldn't it clearly be very powerful? Furthermore, there were even 4 in total. But listening to the previous statements, these 4 beasts' divine weapons were extremely special and even ethereal. Bai Yu said, these 4 beasts' divine weapons were born with the divine exercise of 4 symbols. Our teacher only got the divine exercise of 4 symbols, while the actual divine weapons were lost with no trace. It is said that only someone who practices the divine exercise of 4 symbols can even hope to gain the recognition of the 4 beasts' divine weapons. Su Meiyao spread her hands and said, although I practice the divine exercise of 4 symbols, I have no intention of ever finding those 4 beasts' divine weapons. I'm simply not interested. Chen Xiang and the 2 girls chatted for quite some time. From these discussions, he learned a lot about the world of martial arts. Chen Xiang took 10,000 spirit coins from Chen Tianyu and arrived in a hurry at Spirit Dan Hall. He wanted to seize the time to refine a middle-grade mortal level Dan. This was not only to defeat the Yao family genius, but also to help him quickly elevate his strength. What? The price was actually raised by 3-fold. Chen Xiang standing near the counter knitted his eyebrows together while looking at the Spirit Dan Hall's lord. The Spirit Dan Hall's lord caressed his beard and said, this is the stated price. If you have any questions, you can ask the owner. Spirit Dan Hall's owner. This was the first time Chen Xiang even heard of someone like him. In the past, was it not what the Hall Lord said that counted? Starting today, as long as a Chen family member is the one to buy any dans, it will be 5 times the price. At this time, an arrogant voice was heard. Chen Xiang knew that this voice belonged to Yao Tianhua. The Spirit Dan Hall was unexpectedly purchased by the Yao family. The Spirit Dan Hall suddenly became quiet. Everyone was silently looking at the teenager who was walking down the stairs. He was quite handsome with fair skin. He wore luxurious golden attire and behind him were 2 old men with sharp gazes. His pair of eyes were full of pride. Glancing at everyone, his line of sight finally stopped to rest on Chen Xiang. This teenager was the Yao family genius, Yao Tianhua. Inside Wohu City, dans were only sold at Spirit Dan Hall. They had the final say on their prices, buying them or not was all up to the individual. Now that Spirit Dan Hall was controlled by the Yao family, the jealousy and hatred of Yao Tianhua seeped towards Chen Xiang and definitely played a part in the new attitude towards the Chen family. You are buying the herbs to refine a baptizing marrow Dan. Moreover, the seedlings. What, are you going to refine them? Yao Tianyu said with a face full of disdain. So what? Could it be in this world you are the only one who can become an alchemist? Chen Xiang sneered. I heard that you can release decent true chi flames, but that doesn't mean you could use them for alchemy is awfully picky when it comes to flames. If a poor ruffian like you could refine pills, then the world would not have so little alchemists. Yao Tianyu sneered in reply. In Chen Xiang's mind flashed one thought. He just thought of an ingenious plan. While laughing he said, Yao family genius, this poor ruffian does indeed, truly understand alchemy. How about we make a bet? Well, assuming you dare to bet with me, that is. Yao Tianyu suddenly laughed. You understand alchemy? You should not be refining dans through bragging. Good, 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 what do you want to be? I will accompany you until the end. Looking at the fish that just took the bait, Chen Xiang felt happy in his heart as he took out a blood-red spirit grass. This spirit grass is around the size of a plate and released a bizarre kind of smell. This was the 1,000-year-old blood spirit grass that he won from Chen Haohai. After this blood spirit grass was put forth, everyone in Spirit Dan Hall could not help but change their expression. Even Yao Tian's face was filled with surprise. He was a Yao family junior and could with one glance recognize that this blood spirit grass was at least 1,000 years old. This was a very expensive spirit herb, and as a result had no set market price. I would like to bet this 1,000-year-old blood spirit grass. Can this young master of the Yao family afford to bet with me? Chen Xiang said with a faint smile. As long as I can refine a pill, I win. Opposingly, if I am not able to refine one, I lose. Simple as that. How is it? Do you dare to bet with me? Looking at Chen Xiang's appearance, it was as if bringing out the incomparably precious 1,000-year-old spirit grass was simply not valuable based on how casually he brought it out. Yao Tianhua had a very arrogant nature, being extremely concerned about face. In any case, he would definitely not reject the bet, but the betting stakes were simply too high this time. Although he was the Yao family genius and carried along a large amount of money, but he was still unable to compare it with this blood spirit grass. Chen Xiang actually carried around 1,000-year blood spirit grass. This made many people hold him in high esteem. No one even dared to have any thought of robbing him. After all, in Wohu City, the Chen family was very respected. Currently, Chen Xiang's father was the Chen family patriarch. Chen Xiang's status could only be imagined by looking at the 1,000-year-old blood spirit grass. After seeing Yao Tian's complexion become extremely ugly, Chen Xiang felt good inside his heart. He pointed at the top of a small piece of the 1,000-year-old blood spirit grass and said, Young Master Yao has only come to Wohu City for the first time, so you didn't know I was just joking with you. Let's bet this small piece. If I win, you just have to give me 3 sets of mature herbs required to refine a baptizing marrow dan. A fingernail-sized section of that blood spirit grass was more than enough to exchange for 3 sets of baptizing marrow dan. Ingredients. Yao Tian's complexion became a lot better as he heaves a heavy sigh of relief in his heart, replying, No problem, let's begin. After Chen Xiang retrieved the blood spirit grass, he immediately took out his inferior alchemy furnace and let the Spirit Dan Hall's lord examine it. After confirming there was no issues with the furnace, Chen Xiang took out some herbs and began to process them. At this time, everyone was intently watching Chen Xiang. Everyone who came here, more or less, yearned to become an alchemist, and actually witnessing the process of alchemy was a somewhat rare occasion for them. No one was against watching the various processes of alchemy, not to mention if it was a teenager that was the one doing it. True chi flames poured out from Chen Xiang. The Spirit Dan Hall's lord's old face was filled with regret from Chen Xiang's refusal to become his apprentice. Upon seeing the flames, he knew that this was the flame best suited for alchemy. After seeing the flames, Yao Tianhua could not help but frown as his complexion became very grim. He cursed in his heart, damn brat, he has been hiding his abilities well. Watching Chen Xiang's skilled motions and calm look, Yao Tianyu secretly gritted his teeth. He had determined that Chen Xiang had a certain amount of experience in regards to alchemy, furthermore it was no worse than his. Chen Xiang was definitely the most adept in refining a quenching body dan. This pill was not only easy to refine, but required very little herbs. If one also had good control of their flames, they could refine many pills at once. When the crowd witnessed the relaxed expression on Chen Xiang's face, they were amazed. They had never seen someone refining dans so leisurely before. Unknowingly, an hour passed by. After watching Chen Xiang's slightly serious complexion vanish, everyone knew that Chen Xiang had passed the most crucial step of refinement. Done. Chen Xiang opened the lid of his alchemy furnace. Overflowing herbal fragrance drifted inside the hall. Everyone came and crowded around the furnace while staring Cindy. They all saw white mist slowly winding around 5 snow-white pills. The crowd sucked in a deep breath. Chen Xiang had actually refined the quenching body dan. The Spirit Dan Hall's lord's face froze. Seeing those 5 quenching body dans in front of him was hard to believe. He was also an alchemist, so he was able to clearly distinguish the quality of these quenching body dans from their color and aroma. Yet because it was of a superior quality and refined in only a short period of time, furthermore from this inferior quality alchemy furnace, most people could not accept the fact that this was refined by a 16-year-old. Yao Tianyu's fair and handsome face started to turn ugly. His face muscles were slightly twitching. He was also shocked by Chen Xiang's alchemy technique. He had not thought that there was another young alchemist in this world that was on par with him. Chen Xiang placed the 5 quenching body dans on his palm. Like eating candies, he popped them into his mouth. While smiling, he said to Yao Tianhua, "Now, can you please give me those herbs for the baptizing marrow dan?" Watching Chen Xiang causally eating the freshly refined, quenching body dans, the corners of everyone's mouth started twitching as they cursed Chen Xiang's prodigal skills. They wished they could ruthlessly trample him with their feet. Treating dans like snacks dealt an extremely heavy blow to them. Do all alchemists usually treat dans like candies? Chen Xiang placed the 5 quenching body dan on his palm. Like eating candies, he puts them in his mouth, and while smiling, he said to Yao Tianhua, "Now you can give me those herbs for baptizing marrow dan." Spirit Dan Hall's lord's 2 hands were shivering as he gave 3 sets of herbs to Chen Xiang. Wearing a look of surprise, he asked, "You aren't going to try and refine a baptizing marrow dan, are you?" Chen Xiang scratched his head. "There's a first time for everything, and they're not always bad things. Your Spirit Dan Hall is now selling these dans at such an expensive price, so I can only resort to refining my own dans." Chen Xiang received the herbs and turned around to leave. He turned his head back when he reached the door and said to Yao Tianhua, "Young Master Yao, a few days later the time of our alchemy competition will arrive. At that time, I hope that you will be able to raise the gambling stakes and actually bet with me. Since it is a competition, it should have a little more flair and fun. At that time, I will also raise the stakes. If you are unable to match them, you don't need to show up and compete with me." Chen Xiang left with his mischievous words residing in the hall. Everyone inside Spirit Dan Hall suddenly began discussing about his terms. 1,000-year-old blood spirit grass as a bet was able to scare even heaven, much less man, and he still wanted to raise the bet. TLN. Too exaggerating smiley face. Yao Tianhua coldly snorted with anger before he headed upstairs. Inside Spirit Dan Hall, its lord murmured, "Impossible, he is only 16 years old, it would be impossible for him to refine a baptizing marrow dan." Chen Xiang's mood was extremely good from getting the 3 sets of baptizing marrow dan ingredients for free. Soon he would be able to refine the baptizing marrow dan. "Little devil, do not turn the boat in a trench, it's better to be careful," Su Meiyao reminded him. "Compared to other things, alchemy is really boring, you should just go and chop him up into pieces." Bai Yuyu's chilling voice came. Hearing this statement, Chen Xiang could not help but shiver. He knew that Bai Yuyu was a peerless she-devil lord that was practicing devil exercises. Suddenly he doesn't want to practice Bai Yuyu's devil exercises anymore. Chen Xiang returned to the Chen family villa. He inquired Chen Tianyu and learned that both Shui Shenxian and her father were staying as a guest in the city lord's villa. Furthermore, many other families from Wohu City were frequently paying them a visit. It must be known that Shui Shenshen's father was someone with many connections. Chen Xiang arrived at the secret underground stone room. To refine the baptizing marrow dan, he first needed to concentrate and could not be bothered. Opening the package, Su Meiyao fiddled with the herbs in her exuberant smooth fingers and nodded with satisfaction. 50-year-old blood ginseng, 50-year-old spirit leaf grass, profound elemental fruit, and yang fire flower. The quality of these 4 herbs are pretty good. As for the rest of them, they are of ordinary quality but would not affect the refinement of the baptizing marrow dan. Chen Xiang picked up a white fruit that was the size of a walnut and picked up a small flower that resembled a sunflower. These were the profound elemental fruit and yang fire flower respectively. Their prices were very expensive as they took dozens of years to mature. Su Meiyao and Bai Yuyu did not want to stay all day inside the ring, so whenever they got the chance they would come out. At the same time, they often chatted with Chen Xiang, which helped keeping them from feeling too bored. Chen Xiang also liked it when both stunning beauties would emerge from time to time. After all, they were very beautiful and their just appearances would make people feel pleasant and happy. Accompanying these 2 beauties was a very wonderful opportunity. "Sister Meiyao, if I use the dragon saliva exercise to mature the herbs for the baptizing marrow dan, how long do you think it would take?" asked Chen Xiang. He knew that the herbs for the baptizing marrow dan required them to be at least dozens of years old. Su Meiyao rolled her pretty eyes and said, "It will probably take 10 days. You are now at the 6th level of the mortal martial realm. You can now use more of the dragon saliva exercise abilities." Only 10 days to mature spirit herbs by dozens of years, this made Chen Xiang pretty surprised. Su Meiyao said, "Begin refining now. While refining the baptizing marrow dan, you need to pay attention to 2 main points. First, because more herbs are required to make the dan and each herb has different levels of flame resistance, you need to control your flames extremely accurately to make sure you don't burn some of the auxiliary herbs. Second, when it becomes time to solidify and congeal the pill, you need to make sure you have comprehended the essence of the pill at that time." Chen Xiang tried to remember each and every word. Then he turned towards the not-so-far elegant beauty, asking, "Sister Yuyu, can you please return to the inside of the ring? the cold qi emitted from your body will affect my control over my flames. Bai Yuyu's complexion immediately turned even more cold, causing Chen Xiang to hastily say, Sister Yuyu. You are extremely beautiful. If it wasn't a last resort, there would be no way I would want a stunning beauty like you to return to the inside of a ring. Su Meiyao heard this and laughed over and over. Beautiful senior sister, don't scare this little guy. Let him refine his dan in peace. A hump sound could be heard from Bai Yuyu before she returned to the ring. Chen Xiang started to refine the baptizing marrow dan, which is a middle-grade mortal level dan. One pill could be sold for 5,000 spirit coins. Since spirit dan halls prices were now increased, it could probably be sold for 10,000 spirit coins, which was equivalent to 1 million small spirit coins. After placing the herbs inside the furnace, Chen Xiang released his flames, simultaneously controlling the flames and temperature inside the alchemy furnace. The temperature of each region varied slightly in order to bake those herbs at the optimal temperature and completely release their respective spirit qi. The herbs required for the baptizing marrow dan were not easy to use. Chen Xiang spent more than 1 hour before he could grasp the characteristics of each of the herbs and identify their degree of fire resistance. At this time, a colorful spirit qi was drifting inside the furnace. This spirit qi was released by those spirit herbs during their baking through the true flames. These were the main ingredients in the creation of spirit dans. The herbs were slowly transforming into herbal powder. Chen Xiang's divine sense was slowly wrapping around the herbal powder. At this moment, as long as this herbal powder and the released herbal qi were fused, he would be able to successfully congeal the dan. Everything started off well, but at the final step Chen Xiang was sweating. This herbal qi was very brutal in nature, making it very difficult to fuse different types of them together. No wonder divine sense is a requirement before refining the baptizing marrow dan. These spirit herbs' herbal qi are very difficult to control, Chen Xiang thought while adhering. He then concentrated his spirit and released even more divine sense, forcing these colorful herbal qis to fuse together. At least they started to turn into a black spirit qi and started to fuse with the gray herbal powder. I must be successful and endure. Chen Xiang's heart only had this one thought. The herbal powder and herbal qi were gradually fusing, but he felt as if his divine sense was not powerful enough to successfully congeal them into pills. Chen Xiang watched as the herbal powders mixed and were about to congeal into a dan. Bang! A horrid sound spread through the air and a rapid qi wave burst out from the alchemic furnace. Chen Xiang quickly retreated and glared at the fallen lid with a stunned face and sweat dripping down his back. That damn furnace exploded. Are you okay? Su Meiyao asked with a slight disregard as she combed her hair. I'm all right, replied Chen Xiang, trying to catch his breath. When he had somewhat calmed down, he inspected his alchemic furnace to check for any damages. Surprisingly, it was fine. Su Meiyao's lips spread into a slight smile as said encouragingly, then continue. It's common for such a thing to happen. Seeing Su Meiyao's fascinating and charming smile, the sense of failure in Chen Xiang's mind was swept away. Having calmed down, he took a few moments of rest and then brought out more herbs. 1, 2, and 3 hours passed, and once again Chen Xiang arrived at the last step only to fail. Fortunately, the furnace had not exploded like the last time. Chen Xiang sighed and said, this is too difficult to refine. There are only one set of herbs remaining, which means that I only have one more chance left to succeed. Looking at the sweat on Chen Xiang's furrowed face, Su Meiyao came up to him. With a damp towel, she wiped it off and said, little one, this sister here, during her time of refining the baptizing marrow dan exploded several alchemic furnaces. You are doing well at the rate you're going. According to my estimation, for you to be successful, it would probably take you at least another 20 more tries. Staring into Su Meiyao's bewitching eyes, Chen Xiang became flustered. The allure of her beauty made his heart throb, and at that moment, his mind could not help but think of her naked image burned in his mind. What, 20 times? That won't do. I do not have that much money to spend, Chen Xiang said. He shook his head, trying to stay focused and clear those disturbing images floating in his mind. As if reading Chen Xiang's mind, Su Meiyao played cutely and shook her bosom a little. Little guy, you going off into wild flights of fantasy has nothing to do with me, but if your thoughts wander towards senior sister, you will probably be out of luck. A sudden thought of an elegant and beautiful Bai Yuyu, filled with a bloodthirsty and cruel qi, one rod of slaughter, came to Chen Xiang's mind, and he laughed. He felt silly and did not dare to take another glance at the giggling soft bosom of Su Meiyao again. A proud smile bloomed on Su Meiyao's face. After that, Chen Xiang took more than an hour of rest. In the meantime, he listened to Su Meiyao's narration of her experience in refining the baptizing marrow dan. When Chen Xiang had fully rested, he once again attempted to refine it, only, this time, it was twice as quick. After about an hour and a half, he was at the last stage of solidifying the dan. Su Meiyao's eyes glittered as she watched. In her opinion, it would have been impossible for Chen Xiang to refine the baptizing marrow dan so quickly, but it was successful. Thus, Su Meiyao could not help but feel admiration towards the boy's alchemic talent. At that moment, she could see an amazing and diverse future for Chen Xiang, more than she had ever expected to live herself. Senior sister, our divine veins were not passed on to the wrong person. This man has not disappointed us, Su Meiyao transmitted to Bai Yuyu inside of the ring using her divine sense. This is merely better than the most, Bai Yuyu said in a cold voice, but Su Meiyao could sense a trace of a rare smile. A moment later, Chen Xiang opened his eyes. Filled with excitement, he propped the lid of the furnace open. After seeing what's inside, he looked towards Su Meiyao in excitement. Sister Meiyao, I did it, I refined the baptizing marrow Dan. Bai Yuyu came out from inside the ring. At that moment, like Su Meiyao, her eyes gleamed with surprise and joy. They had pinned all of their hopes on Chen Xiang, and after seeing his level of inherent talent, they couldn't help but be happy. Ordinarily, 3 baptizing marrow Dans could be refined at the same time. Chen Xiang was only able to refine 2 Dans, but it had taken him only a day to successfully refine them. Such a thing can only be done by someone of great talent. Chen Xiang's actions showed he not only had the ability, but an unusual perception that could detect the subtle changes during the Dan congealing process. After a few tries, with such a perception, Chen Xiang was able to become attuned with what was necessary to succeed. Su Meiyao ruffled Chen Xiang's hair, her alluring eyes locked onto him as she smiled and said, "Good brat, you did not disappoint me." Hearing Su Meiyao, Bai Yuyu nodded in agreement. The cold look in her eyes had softened considerably. Watching the 2 stunning beauties praising him, and with such closeness, Chen Xiang's heart was filled with pride. But although he was successful this time, it did not mean that he would succeed every time. Not allowing his pride to dampen his resolution, he went to refine a few more Dans before he left the underground private room. Just as he left, a girl wearing a purple skirt, sitting in the small hall, came into his view. She had a noble air about her and looked absolutely stunning. For a moment, Chen Xiang's mind went blank as he asked in a confused voice, "Chen Xiang, why are you here?" Shui Shenxian looked at Chen Xiang and said, "What, can't I come to find you? Well, you are an adult. So you should be the one to look after me, right? Why am I the one who is always coming for you, HMPH? After all, this will just make me a joke in front of others." Chen Xiang scratched his head in embarrassment. He had honestly wanted to go to find Shui Shenxian, but he first wanted to practice his alchemy. He sauntered to Shui Shenxian and brushed his hand against her face. The girl's face turned bright red as she blushed. "Shui Shenxian, I'm truly sorry, I have been busy with my alchemy. Please, take this as my apology." Chen Xiang took out a small box containing 2 black Dans. There were the same baptizing marrow Dans he had just refined. Shui Shenxian opened the box and said with a soft shout, "Baptizing marrow Dan. Did Xiao Shang brother refine it?" Chen Xiang smiled and said, "I only managed to refine them due to luck. I do not have any more raw materials now, and was just preparing to buy more, but the spirit Dan Hall now belongs to the Yao family. If I were to buy from them, I would have to pay several times that of the market price. Shenxian, can you help me buy some of these herbs?" Shui Shenxian bent her head in serious thought. Her demeanor and her face became stern as she said in a serious voice, "Certainty, but Xiao Shang brother, you can refine baptizing marrow Dan at this age. This is simply too astonishing." Shui Shenxian then brought her voice level to a whisper and continued, "Xiao Shang brother, you can later enter those martial arts sects and can most likely reach the pinnacle of martial arts." Chen Xiang nodded and said, "I plan to, but presently I do not have enough strength." "Shenxian, did some sect come to recruit you?" The girl sighed and answered, "It is not a sect, but a person. She has received our Shui family's grace, and she fancies me and wants me to be her apprentice. She seems to be a member of some martial arts sect, but she did not specifically mention about its identity. I will follow her, and soon." Shui Shenxian stopped herself in dismay. "It does not matter. It is the goal of every martial artist, and sooner or later, I will go as well," said Chen Xiang as he took out a 10,000 spirit coin bill and gave it to Shui Shenxian. Taking the bill from Chen Xiang, Shui Shenxian said, "Baptizing marrow Dan is of no use to me now, so I will help you sell it in exchange for the herbs you need. Xiao Shang brother. Wait for me, I will be back quickly." After Shui Shenxian left, Chen Xiang hurriedly took a bath. Just as he finished, Shui Shenxian returned with a mature and charming white-robed lady with her. If Chen Xiang had previously not encountered Bai Yuyu and Su Meiyao, he would have been easily smitten by the lady. This middle-aged beauty coming with Shui Shenxian had an oval face that was clear of any makeup. Her skin was pale and tender, and unexpectedly, she was in no way inferior to Shui Shenxian. With a smile on her face, she looked at Chen Xiang with her phoenix-like eyes, and her graceful figure exuded an imposing manner. Along with the power coursing in those eyes of hers, she could easily have been mistaken as an aloof goddess with an Armageddon might. TLN. Divine Weapons Heavenly Empire or Shen Bingtian Empire, Xian Bingtian Guo. The middle-aged woman was slowly walking towards Chen Xiang. With every single step she took towards him, the pressure that descended upon Chen Xiang increased greatly. Although he had been somewhat bewildered by her beauty, that feeling was now firmly swept away. A cold sweat emerged on his skin and his limbs turned weak as his body became stiff. It was as if he had lost all his strength and was rendered unable to move. As the woman's eyes that resembled a phoenix landed on him, Chen Xiang felt as if he was stripped and bare in front of her. It was as if she could see right through him, his heart, his desires, his capabilities. It quickly dawned on Chen Xiang that this was a very formidable and capable woman. He felt that he needed to act fast, so he calmed his mind and operated the Tai Chi divine exercise, and quickly covered his aura, concealing it within his yin and yang divine veins. He wanted to adhere to Su Meiyao and Bai Yuyu's orders and make sure that no one found out anything about what he had or could do. Although this took quite a while to describe, it all happened in an instant. As the two finally entered the room Chen Xiang was in, the phoenix-eyed woman's eyebrows became furrowed, as a trace of surprise flashed through her eyes. Upon entering, she noticed that Chen Xiang was calm and looked at her as he would any other woman. The phoenix-eyed woman had always been aware of her own beauty and grace. She knew that the power she exuded accentuated her beauty and vice versa. She was even confident and prideful about it. Any vigorous and healthy teenager would have been instantly ensnared and enamored with her charm and allure, or at least been affected by her presence. Yet after seeing Chen Xiang, a bud of uncertainty about her own beauty became planted deeply within her heart. Chen Xiang, your fiancé here is really capable, much better than that shish-head genius from the Yao family. The middle-aged woman's voice was soft. It was a majestic and commanding tone. It could be seen that the woman was accustomed to giving out orders, and clearly expected those orders to be followed. Chen Xiang did not waste any time. He instantly cupped his hands in salute and said, Junior Chen Xiang greets Senior. May I inquire if this senior is Shui Shenshen's master? The woman smiled in reply. He became unable to say a single word in response to that charming smile, something which could seize the soul of any man. Chen Xiang quickly realized he had become flustered, but after seeing and meeting so many different kinds of people he was barely able to keep his mind calm. Chen Xiang was also startled at his power of self-control. Yes, you can rest assured and leave your little wife to me. The middle-aged woman's voice was gentle. Unlike before, the commanding tone had disappeared and was replaced with tenderness. Shui Shenshian sighed with relief. She had been worried over how her master and fiancé would feel about each other. However, knowing that she and Chen Xiang were soon to part, an overwhelming and bitter sadness permeated throughout her heart. Nibbling her lips in distraught, Shui Shenshian took out a package of herbs and handed them to Chen Xiang. I must leave with master, but you must quickly come and look for me, mumbled Shui Shenshian while bowing. Chen Xiang had not expected that their time together would be so short. His heart was also filled with dismay. He cupped his future wife's face and said, Be happy, we will definitely be together. I will find you again. Shui Shenshen's master harumphed, Brat, you better have strength above the 9th level of the mortal martial realm before you go off and look for those martial sects. You say you want to look for Shenxian? Then you should first start looking into me. After all, obtaining information about me shouldn't be too difficult. Once that's done and you manage to find me, you'll be able to see her again. Afterwards the woman turned to Shui Shenxian. Little girl, let's go. That brat is more formidable than you can imagine, don't worry about him, it's a waste of energy. Before the woman departed, Chen Xiang and Shui Shenxian embraced each other. The phoenix-eyed woman then took Shui Shenxian away. Chen Xiang watched them soar through the sky as they flew towards the horizon, disappearing in a second's notice. When Chen Xiang was sure that the middle-aged woman was gone, he snorted, humph, pretending to be profound and mysterious. Not giving me any information to go off of and then having the gall to tell me to go look into her. Damn it, at least tell me your name. That woman is very strong. She's known as the Empress of the Divine Weapon Heavenly Empire. It is well known that the divine weapon of the Vermilion Bird, one of the 4 beasts' divine weapons, is in her hands. Having her receive your little wife as an apprentice is a fortunate opportunity, said Su Meiyao. Divine Weapon Heavenly Empire? Chen Xiang had never heard of them. Just as he was about to ask more about this matter, Bai Yu interrupted the thought. That woman is very formidable and has a power similar to our own. She is, after all, one of the deans of the 8 major righteous sects in the Chenwu mainland. It's to be expected. However, I did not expect that she would actually come here to accept an apprentice. Chen Xiang recalled that Su Meiyao and Bai Yu had previously mentioned the Chenwu mainland. It was one of the many large landmasses of the mortal martial world. Inside it were 8 righteous sects, each with its own dean as the rulers of the region they occupied. Those sects were at the pinnacle of strength and were the pillars of the mortal martial realm. The Divine Weapon Heavenly Empire was originally just a singular sect but later developed into the nation it is now by relying upon their skills at refining formidable weapons. That woman just now is their empress, said Su Meiyao. Chen Xiang was happy knowing that Shui Shenshen's teacher was such a formidable figure. He felt more at ease. Although Chen Xiang felt somewhat lost with Chen Xiang gone, he had convinced himself that this was the best for her. Taking the 6th set of herbs that Chen Xiang had given him, he continued to refine more baptizing marrow dans. 3 days passed. At this point in time, Chen Xiang had successfully refined the baptizing marrow dan 4 times and only failed once. He was satisfied with the overall results, and today was the start of the Chen family patriarch banquet. Many families had been invited and each sent someone to represent them. Every participant was looking forward to the competition between Chen Xiang and Yao Tianhua. The Chen family banquet brought together many different families. These people had not come just for the food, but for the competition. The competitive spirit amongst the junior members was at a boiling point from the excitement. The banquet was held in a wide field at night. Several guests were bustling about, some sipped wine while others ordered off the menu. The entire dining experience was rich and vibrant. Some of the patriarchs from various other families came, but more had not due to the relationship between them and the Chen family being terribly poor. They sent representatives in their stead instead. Only the patriarchs who were still in a good relationship with the Chen family attended. Inside the wide field of the Chen family villa, numerous members from the junior generations of various martial art families of the Southern Martial Empire had been gathered. Although these bouts between them were going to be grand and intense, the majority of the crowd's attention was gathered on a specific match, the one between Chen Xiang and Yao Tianhua. The news of Chen Xiang refining the quenching body dan had spread out. Furthermore, tonight was the date of the alchemy competition with Yao Tianhua. After learning about the skills of the 2 participants, there was a huge betting pool which caused the attention put on this competition to soar even higher. When the banquet had been held for about half of the night, one of the guests could not sit still and shouted, "Patriarch Chen, at what time will the alchemy competition between your son and the Yao family start? We have all been patiently waiting for a long time." At the end of the day, the competition between those two is much more interesting than anything else tonight. Originally I had planned to first start off with the martial art contests to add some enthusiasm as well as bring up everyone's mood. However, seeing that everyone has waited for so long, let's begin right now. Let the 2 young men begin their contest. Chen Tianyu's voice boomed over the entire field as everything suddenly became quiet. In the middle of the courtyard, a large elevated stage was being built by a few old men. As the stage almost reached the end of its construction, Chen Xiang arrived. He wore black tights, a simple garb made for versatile movement. However, when compared to Chen Xiang, Yao Tianhua was simply eye-catching. His luxurious gown shone with a golden aura with a sword sheathed at his waist, the hilt gleaming with studded gems. Yao Tianhua seemed like the son of the heavens. His posture, dress and demeanor all permeated arrogance. Even the expression on his face was overbearing and made many uncomfortable, or even unhappy. "Yao Tianhua, do you like our current stakes? Why not raise them for such a grand competition?" Chen Xiang said coolly. "No matter what your bet is, my Yao family can afford to match it," Yao Tianhua said, his voice flat and cold. "Ha ha ha, I'm just betting on my own behalf, not on the whole Chen family's. I had not expected you, as a young and dignified alchemist, would need to rely on his entire family just to match my bet," Chen Xiang said with a smile. Yao Tianhua's facial expression contorted. He knew that without his family's support, he would be unable to match the bet of 1,000-year blood spirit grass. "Chen family young master, please don't speak such nonsense. Tianhua is representing the whole Yao family in this competition, so it's no big deal getting their support. You are yourself, and he is himself," an old man immediately said, with an impatient tone. He was the Yao family elder who had come along with Yao Tianhua.